Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun.
Good morning, everybody. Well, it's Tuesday. Kind of got a couple of weird things going on. I feel a little bit blind because some of the reports that I normally read to kind of understand what was going on overnight are like not working. But from what I can gather, we did have the U.S. had some boats go through, and also the different Iranian factions are arguing over these attacks on the UAE. Apparently, we're getting very different kind of words coming out of there. So, the treasuries are up a little bit. They're on a run on the upside, so that's good. Let's come in and take a look at how much it actually is here, huh? We've had a lot of moves that it's like, no, that was nothing. Well, okay, so they recovered the jump overnight. Okay. That's actually maybe a little bit concerning to me, but we'll run with it. Is that, I think I'm missing some data. Shall I try fixing that? There we go. There we go. So recovering some of the downside that we saw the heat of the day yesterday. S&P 500. It wasn't that ugly of a day, but they were definitely down. By the way, a lot of software was squeezing yesterday. So when I see this thing like the overall market is down, but then some other sector that's been down and hated is up, kind of makes me think that maybe it's like degrossing and rebalancing. Not necessarily, oh, we think the world's falling apart in Iran and yada, yada, yada. So keep that one in mind. Here's oil. Oil's still at 102. You know, I was talking to some of my coworkers yesterday, and I was hearing some really crazy numbers, like gas at $7 a barrel. That would be bonkers. But I think oil would have to be significantly higher from here. Possible. But we're not there yet. We're still at 102, 103. Golds. Well, they're still struggling. But trying to pull something out from yesterday. We'll see. Silver. Silver still, like, always looks a little bit better than gold these days. It's kind of weird to me. They're down more here, but then they were up more here. So, copper. Okay, big recovery there in copper. Japanese yen. Ooh, well, okay, so there's been some job owning. They intervened 3 times. I don't like the looks of that latest move, though, in the Japanese yen. Like, if I'm Japan, I'm not too happy about that one, right? Okay, here's the dollar. Kind of consolidating around 98-ish. Am I reading that right? Yeah, 98. And then Bitcoin. Bitcoin going. 01 says they got an anchor. Okay, well, I don't know what that means, but so something that's kind of interesting about this, there's 2 sectors really that I would say this year have not done well, and they are Bitcoin and SaaS stocks, or let's just say software as a whole. And we're seeing what appears to be a squeeze in the software as a service stocks. Like people finding they don't own any of it. It's going up. They're chasing it. Maybe some short covering too. Bitcoin, I am not seeing any signs of that. Now, I don't determine that. So when I say I don't see any signs of that, I don't determine that by like looking at the chart and the way that the chart is moving or anything like that. The only way that we can really know these sorts of things, because that data is not something that we get. You're talking about really sophisticated options calculations and things like that. So you really have to talk to the desks, like the people at Goldman and like the prime brokers and places like that. And they say what their clients are doing and why. Oh, this client is buying because they were short or whatever the deal is, right? So that's how we know. And I'm not getting any evidence of that sort of thing in the Bitcoin world. The Bitcoin world is just like still left for dead. It's rallying, but it's still like completely ignored. So on one hand, I think that kind of speaks well for both of those spaces. That like, well, it's not just like a squeeze or anything, because sometimes you could get like a short squeeze and then guess what? It's going lower, right? That happens all the time. But there appears to be more behind it, right? So that's a good thing for both of those assets, I think. But the problem with Bitcoin is still like, who's buying it? Who's getting? Where's the upside coming from? It's coming from nowhere. And I really don't see the wider public getting involved in Bitcoin in a major way again. I think too many people got burned on the Dogecoin mania thing. So that kind of suggests to me that while Bitcoin probably has some upside, it may not have as much upside as it does in previous cycles. But I mean, that's always been the case, right? It's for each cycle, the upside is slightly less, right? All right, let's see here. Who else is here? Kevin, Schroeder, Vital, the greatest analyst. Welcome. That's a new name. And Andre. So we got a lot of people here today. You know, I feel like for whatever reason, that YouTube has been more kind to me in the past like week. I don't know what's with that, but there's just like, there's more comments on videos. More of you guys are here in chat. Like we're going somewhere, it feels like. And you know what? Well, and it's kind of just a weird thing to happen now, because I'm kind of like, I don't know how I feel about like making another video right now. I'm really torn on like what the next video should be. Maybe we should make a poll. You know what? That's what we should do. We should have a poll. But first I have to pick like 3. Like, what are the 3 that I'm thinking about making, and yada, yada, yada. But right now I'm like way more interested in making my trading GUI. And, you know, I definitely have the skills to write it all myself, but I've been using AI a lot. And I think that the biggest use for the AI is like, it keeps me engaged. Like I can just get in and start working and I know that I'm going to get something done. Whereas other times you could go and work on something and you don't really have a working feature, and you know that it's going to take you like another week of work to do it. And that kind of like demotivates you from doing it. I just feel motivated probably more than anything to continue working on my trading GUI. So it's kind of weird that all of a sudden, once I've kind of like, this is like what I want to spend my time on the most, people start showing up and it's like, well, maybe we should make a YouTube video too. Let's see here. Today is a bad day for Romania. The government fell after a motion initiated by the far left and far right parties that made a coalition. The RON fell 3% against the euro in just 4 days, and because he was the only one making moves against the deficit, which is 9% of GDP. Oh man. You know, like it's something that I find really disheartening is when I read about other countries And it's like there's been a change in power from a liberal government over to a conservative government. And it's like, oh, you know, like maybe things are getting better in that country. And then there's another election and it switches. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, actually, all of their problems are still there, though. Right. And I find that disheartening because that's like every country's in that position, isn't that? Aren't they? Like the United States is in that position too. I remember saying way like back in 2018, 2019-ish, that like, oh, you know, like, yeah, we're adding to the deficit right now, but like that's not a big deal. Now, if we had another big gut check, some financial crisis level event that increased the deficit, then we get to this point where like maybe the dam can't hold anymore. And then what happened? COVID happened, right? And then we're really in pain. And then, okay, we really need to deal with it now. Now we got the Iran war. So what's going to happen? The U.S. is over 100% GDP in debt. Now we're testing all of the theoretical limits, aren't we? Aren't we? Well, maybe the modern monetary theorists are correct in that you can run maybe not an infinite deficit, but a larger deficit than you otherwise normally would be able to, because you're the currency, you're the safe haven currency. That's not the word that they use, right? What is it? The global, because you're the global reserve currency. Maybe we get away with more than we should. I don't know. What, you want more geopolitical news reading, please? Well, I really want to to get the news squawk. So if I go to news squawk, maybe they've just always. So if you go to newssquawk.com/blog, okay, and then they have this lovely morning synopsis, and when you click on it, it gives you a 404. So they broke their website. Maybe it only gives you a 404 if you're not a member. I don't know. I'm just like, what's wrong with the blog? Oh, you know, I am subscribed to. Maybe it's in my inbox. Financial Juice. Well, I have Financial Juice, but Financial Juice doesn't really have a morning synopsis. No, it's not way better for news. I think that if you think that Financial Juice is better than News Squawk, then you've never actually had News Squawk. Oh my. If you pay for it, it's cheaper than it used to be, but it's still pretty expensive. There's some serious edge to some of the stuff that they get on there. Like especially the market specific feeds. If they're doing the treasuries, like if they catch wind of block orders and things like that like just straight up tell you that the market's going to move before it does. It's crazy. Yeah. Plus another thing is that they have they have a synopsis of before treasury auctions. That's useful. They have a little bit of information about like which corporations might be doing bond offerings that day and that sort of stuff. So there's some, especially for the bonds, there's some serious edge to the News Squawk stuff. And they have a really good morning synopsis, which Financial Juice doesn't do. But maybe it goes to my inbox. Does Well, it goes to my inbox, but what I get on the inbox is not. Then I get a link to full podcast and a report. And I get a 404. I think it's just a mistake on their part. Well, in the email, they say, U.S. officials say the military is closer to resuming combat operations than 24 hours ago. Closer than 24 hours ago. Iranian Foreign Minister Araghchi posted, as talks are making progress with Pakistan's gracious effort, the U.S. should be wary of being dragged back into a quagmire by ill-wishers. So should the UAE. European and U.S. equity futures are broadly firmer. Palantir minus 2% as commercial revenue fell short of expectations. Dixie is flat. JPY experiences volatile two-way action. AUD pressured post RBA, where it hiked 25 basis points. Statement was net hawkish, but Governor Bullock suggests there is room to wait and see. Gilts gap lower on return from a bank holiday. U.S. Treasuries and bonds relatively contained. Crude pairs Monday's gains to the benefit of XAU. A Bloomberg is way better. Well, for sure it is. Although I do kind of wonder. I think that if I had a Bloomberg terminal, I probably wouldn't be trading just treasuries. But you know, I win the argument and I get my dose today. Are you ADHD? You know, there's this whole thing about ADHD people kind of get a chemical rise out of arguing with people. That's me. That's me. You know what was the thing that was getting me yesterday, man? Okay, here in Utah, they're building a data center. I mean, there's a couple of data centers. Like there's multiple like cities in Utah that have been like quote unquote battling data centers in their area, which Utah might not necessarily be the best place to have a data center because data centers use a lot of water and we're really short on water in the West right now. I don't know if the data centers actually use so much water that it's a big deal because you take the water in, you recirculate it through your facility. Yeah, you lose a little bit, but the amount of water that you're actually losing from the system is not actually that much. It's a lot less than a lot of these areas. It's like agriculture, so the data center uses less water than the agriculture does, for instance. But so maybe Utah's not the best place for a data center, but Utah is like one of the only places in the country where you have like the tech expertise and like a good tech economy, and you can actually like build things, right? In California, it's impossible to build anything. In Utah, you can still build stuff. So Kevin O'Leary, he wants to build this data center just north of the Great Salt Lake. And the one that they want to build up there is going to be massive. And I really mean massive. Like this one facility is going to use more electricity than the entire rest of the state. It's crazy how big this place is going to be. It's good. They're going to call it the Stratos Data Facility. And there may be a city come about over there that I'm sure they will call Stratos City. And they've kind of been fighting it out. And so there's the county commissioners. They have to approve the plans. Right? They have all the plans. They've done all of their work and everything. And then the county has to come in and say, you guys did all of your work and it's all correct and we can move forward with it, right? And so the public was like flooding this meeting and everything, something that like nobody ever cares about, right? Nobody ever goes to. It's just the people on that board that are there, right? All of a sudden, everybody, people from different cities and everything all converge on this one meeting to try and stop the data center. And that was yesterday. That was yesterday night. So on TikTok, I'm getting all these people posting about it. I'm getting all of these people posting about it. And you know what? At the risk of pissing a lot of other locals in Utah off, I think some of these people need a heavy dose of humble pie. Like, forget about should we build the plant, or sorry, the data center or not, and all of these sorts of things. I tend not to take a position on that sort of issue. Why? Because I don't like losing. And I know that they're going to build it. Every time in my life in Utah, first it was they wanted to build a mall. They didn't want to let them build the mall. And then it was in the mall, we want to have a sky bridge going between the two sides of the bridge, crossing the road. And there was a big fight over that. We have a highway over here called Legacy Highway. There was a big fight over that. Mill Creek wanted to become a city. There was a big fight over that. Basically, every time I can remember, Utopia, there was an initiative to have the cities pay for fiber optic line, basically, and run it as a utility, run the internet as a utility. There was a big fight over that. And in every case, they always end up building it in the end. That's just what happens in Utah. Is you can't stop the NIMBYs are there, but you can't stop it. It just, they build it anyways. And the reason that I say these people need a heavy dose of humble pie is if they knew anything about what they were talking about, they would have known that that commission was extremely unlikely to halt the construction. Why? Because all they're there to do is to basically show or review that the developer has done their due diligence and everything. So the developer, they own the land. It's their land. They have certain land rights. Under the law, there's only so much the commission can do. So if any of these people knew anything about the issue, they would have known that going to this meeting and everything and trying to protest it and all would not have worked. And it kind of like grinds my gears. It's just like, you don't know anything about land rights. You don't know anything about water usage. You don't know anything about data centers. You don't know anything about the development. You don't know anything about the economics. None of this stuff. So who are you to come in and say it should be this way or that way? Concerned local citizen. I like concerned local citizens, but you need to be informed, and none of these people were. Drives me crazy. So I'm watching this on TikTok. Maybe leave a comment or two, and I'm feeling it. It's like I'm getting that ADHD. Like, I want to argue with these people. It's given me the norepinephrine to get going. Like, it's ADHD behavior, man. BS asks, are they building their own power plants? Okay, yes. Actually, so the thing that's interesting about this one is that the data center site sits on a massive natural gas pipeline that goes all the way up into Oregon. If you live in Utah, you're probably familiar with it, because there's like this whole section of the city there's like a little 1 mile forest going all the way down the city. Here, I'll show you. So when you get over into these areas, there's like this kind of like greenish area in through here. Part of it is that there's a river, but part of it is that there's an oil pipeline that goes through there, and so nobody's allowed to build through it. So they're gonna run this thing on natural gas, which is kind of curious. I mean, There are some emissions from natural gas, but it's a relatively clean way to do things. I don't know if there's another really viable way to power up a plant that big other than nuclear power, right? But so it'll be their own power, and they're not allowed to connect into the grid in any way. They're not allowed to connect into the grid in any way. For water, they have to use the water rights that came with the land because it was being used for agriculture. So, and they'll use the water and recirculate it, treat it, and then send it out to the Great Salt Lake. So, it's a net win on the water. Obviously, it wouldn't be as good as if all of those water rights were just not used at all and went back to the Great Salt Lake. But it's better than what it was when that water was being used for agriculture. So if there's going to be like an increased cost passed on to people, it's going to be natural gas price going up, right? Building more capacity than they need and selling the excess should put concerned citizens' worries to bed. I don't think you understand how NIMBYs work, man. I hesitate a little bit to use the term NIMBY. Because I think this issue is a little bit different from your typical, oh, we don't want you to build this, we don't want you to build this. But I just can't think of a better term for it. But anytime that anybody wants to build anything, there's people there that are like, we shouldn't do this. And they'll have reasons why. I remember here in Centerville, they built a 3-story office building, and there was like a huge fight over it. There were citizens that didn't want them to build it. Said it changes the tenor of our small city. They built it. Nobody cares. This is what always happens, at least in Utah. So everybody flips out. They don't want to build it, and then they build it, and everybody forgets about it. If there was ever even a battle, I bet you, like when I go to the mall downtown and walk over that sky bridge, and I see everybody in there. Sometimes people are taking pictures and stuff. I don't think any of them know that the mayor threw a huge stink over building it. Like, tried to sue everybody and kept it held up for years. It's just they just don't. Some people just don't like change, I guess. And I, you know what? I think that it is maybe kind of a natural reaction, right? So you see stuff going up, immediately they're thinking, there's going to be less resources for me because that's going to bring more people. The Stratos City thing, like the wild thing about this though, is how big it's going to be. It's gonna. I went and I did some numbers. It's going to be like a 5% boost to Utah GDP. That's significant. Data centers don't bring as many jobs as you would think. It's a lot of power. It's a lot of resource utilization, and not that many jobs. But for that area where they're building it, like, there's nothing out there, man. Like, the closest thing is Brigham City. And Brigham City is probably going to, like, double in size. It's crazy. And then if you get a situation where there's, like, startups and tech companies want to build stuff out there to be close to the data center, and, like this could be an extremely lucrative thing for the people in that area. Just the tax revenue alone that they're going to get off of that, dude, Box Elder County is going to be so filthy rich. It's crazy. It's crazy because you're talking about this teeny, well, it's actually, in terms of size, it's a pretty big county, but like this county that hardly has anybody living in it, and they're going to be pulling in this massive tax revenue. So, like, the tax revenue per resident is going to be obscene. Going to make so much money from it. But people don't want it. I understand why they don't want it, but it's going to happen. You gotta understand, when I'm saying all of this stuff, I'm not saying like, oh, I think that it's a good idea to build the data center, because I don't think that I know enough about the situation to say that it really is good to build it or not to build it. I know that it's going to bring money. I would probably lean towards building it, but you would really have to do a lot of research and everything to say whether it was a good idea or not. But since I know it's going to happen anyways, so yeah, interesting local issue. I think that if I was to make a decision on whether or not they should build it or not, I have to say that they should build it, because I don't want to be on Kevin O'Leary's bad side. So don't worry, Kev. I got your back. We're cool. We're cool. Well, if the tax revenue subsidized the power bills and water bills, then maybe. Oh yeah, totally. But it will. The only thing is the gas, right? Like, people might pay more for gas if there's less gas available. But my understanding is that there's plenty of natural gas. So I don't see tax revenue that's often wasted as a great selling point. Yeah. I think the thing that you do have to think about is, like, does the local county government, I guess there's not really a city involved here, are they actually getting a good deal, or is Kevin O'Leary fleecing them, right? There's a lot of, and I'm not really sure how you do that stuff. Beyond my pay grade. Okay, so now that we're at the top of the hour, I was saying, oh, what kind of video would we like to make? What video should I make next? And I've gone back and forth between different things. Yes, I will do 3. I will give you 3 choices. Video ideas. Okay. Number 1. Debunking order flow influencers. So this wouldn't necessarily be talking about specific people. Let's just say order flow strategies. There's been kind of an influx of people searching for order flow and basically getting into order flow on things that, from our own research, suggests that they don't really work. So they're basically being taught misconceptions about order flow instead of accurate information about order flow science. So I make a video about that. Number 2 is artificial intelligence speculation. Who has more power, liquidity takers or makers? So I don't think that power is the correct word, but if you want to look at what tends to have the greatest effect on price in the situations where you as a retail trader can take advantage of it, it is the liquidity takers. If you're a big firm and you need to buy a ton of something, enough that it's going to move that asset and create some sort of a trend, you can do that with, at best, 50% limit orders. So you're going to come in with market orders, and the market orders is the thing that tends to push price. So, yeah, you want to look for situations where the market orders are going to win. And these situations where the limit orders kind of have the power and hold things, those are situations that, as retail traders, we tend not to do as well in. Yeah. Okay. And then number 3, help tips for traders. Okay, so that would be like me trying to transition into more general dad kind of advice. Like, one thing that I think really helps you as a trader, you need to have a exercise hobby that gets you up to like your maximum heart rate. Something where you're going all out, so that when you're in that really tense situation with like all the adrenaline going and everything and the stress involved of being in a trade that's going against you, you don't want that experience to be completely foreign to your body. So you need to be constantly experiencing stress of some sort by like sprinting or whatever the exercise is, right? So the sorts of things that we would talk about in health tips for traders. These are 3 ideas that I have. I didn't go into artificial intelligence speculation. This maybe could be a whole series, but I think it's going into, okay, what are the different like checkpoints for artificial intelligence that we need to look at? Which ones are they likely to reach and which ones are they not likely to reach? How is this going, and what are things that you should be doing in response to where we think that this is going to go? How do you get ahead in the world of AI? So that's what that's about. I used to think, well, I don't really want to make that video because it's not directly about trading, but this is something that I kind of have an advantage on. So I know a lot about it, and I think that I have some information that a lot of people don't have, that kind of suggests is going to go a different way than how people think. And I think that we could make a pretty good video on it. That would be like a more, another video that I think a more general audience would like. So we're going to vote on it. That's what we're going to do. Oh, how come I don't have... I guess I have to do it over here. Start a poll. Which video should Seth make next? We'll just call it order flow misconceptions. AI guide, we'll put it like that. Start a poll. We'll run that. You can pick which ones. And let's see here. I can close it over here on this one. Is there even a solid business model for AI yet? That's a good question. Well, so I think that like the best comparison is going to be like cars. So when the automobile came about, the first people making automobiles were not the people that ultimately made money off of it. It was Ford, and there was certain innovations and changes and things that Ford brought about that kind of made them be the winners. So like everybody seems to assume that it is the model trainers like OpenAI and Anthropic that are going to be the most valuable in that world. right? There's all these people been talking about this future where like only Sam Altman and his people like have money and everybody else is poor and destitute. Probably not. And in fact, the way that things are kind of going, I kind of question if those companies are ever going to make money, because the compute costs are just so expensive. And when they come in and they start actually charging people for what it costs, they're not going to pay for it. They're not going to pay for it. So how are they going to do that? The cost for providing that service is going to have to come down precipitously. And if they're wrong about the rate at which that happens by even a little bit, then they don't make money and they go kaput. So it might not be OpenAI and Anthropic and Gemini that become the ones that really make mega money from it. Maybe the people that really make mega money from it are the people that use AI to build new products and services that they wouldn't have been able to have made on their own otherwise. I think that AI really empowers small businesses, and maybe the biggest winner ends up being small businesses instead of the big hyperscalers. Who knows? I only know that AI is here to stay. It's here to stay. Okay, let's go back to this. I did not get it. As I understand, the liquidity makers could left orders, so drive price without effort, so execute in better price when there is retail orders because they are predictable. Okay, so the market maker. So if you want to think about it as a game between three players, there is the market maker. There is the informed trader, and there's noise traders. So the market maker, the biggest risk to the market maker is when an informed trader comes in and moves price to a certain place, and then you're just going to have to eat that if it moves too far, right? So when they start pushing in a certain direction and there's a little bit of trend coming in, there's basically all of this math for the market maker to determine that there's a high probability that there's an informed trader in this market and lift their bids or offers, whichever direction it is, into accordance with the risk of there being that informed trader, right? Because he doesn't want to trade against the informed trader. He wants to trade against the noise traders, right? So that's his biggest risk, essentially. The market maker doesn't want to influence the price or anything like that. Market maker is happiest when it's just trading in a range, right? That's when they make their money. Trading in a range against noise traders, that's the best game for them. It's when informed trader comes in, moves things, market maker wants to be out of the way, right? But that's when price is going to move. That's when you're going to like make a good trade and it's going to go somewhere, right? When you're getting a trend and things like that. So you as a day trader, you want to detect when or know rather when a informed trader is going to come into the market before it can be detected by the market maker. This is essentially what you want to do. And that's how you make money. Hold on. Child says that I need to take them to school. Anyways, the market maker, he doesn't want to manipulate things, basically. That's a risk for them. It's like taking on a lot of inventory to like manipulate the price and screw around with people is a risk to them. They don't like doing that. I'll be back in like 5 minutes. I'm going to take one of the kids to school, okay? All right, we're back. So where were we? Wiping resting orders by market makers should be illegal? No, it's not. Why would it be? Why should it be illegal? They have to use market orders to come in and take you out. That means increasing their inventory. It's not. So here's the thing. What kind of a trade do you actually want as a retail trader? Right? Like what's the kind of move that is ideal for you? Right? Well, as retail traders, I think the thing that really kind of benefits us the most is efficiency. So what does that mean? So like if we take a trade, right? And then the stock goes down on us and like really down. It's really, really bad. And then it comes all the way back up. And just like you get a teeny tiny little profit and then and you get out, right? So here's your trade, right? Yeah, you made money, but it went super, super far against you. Is that a good trade? Well, I don't know. Like maybe you made money. It's within your risk parameters, whatever. But it's not ideal, is it? You don't want to have to sit in this thing with heat against you forever and ever and all that kind of stuff. It's not fun, right? So this is called adverse excursion. When you get in and it goes against you, that's every tick that it goes against you, that's another tick of adverse excursion. And if it comes back, we're looking at the most that it ever went against you, that's the maximum favorable or maximum adverse excursion. And the most that it ever went in your favor is maximum favorable excursion, right? So the ideal trade for a retail trader is actually going to be you get in, it's flat, you get in, it goes up, and then it consolidates on a new price and you get out right here. Right? Then your MAE, your adverse excursion, is 0, and your MFE is equal to your profit. Perfect efficiency. Should have pulled out the pen so I was going to write words, right? Perfect efficiency, right? Okay. Well, what kind of creates this kind of a move? What creates a move like this is a large player, like a central bank or a company or a index fund or whatever, coming in and buying so much of it over a very long course of time that they have to do so with market orders and it pushes the market up. Right? So you're not looking for the times when the market maker is in charge. When the market maker is in charge, you're going to get this. It's going to be as random as possible because that makes it harder for you to pull something out of it. You want to be in when it's trending. That's when the informed trader is in charge. So don't worry about the market maker. The market maker, he's just doing his thing for the most part. He is setting his bids and offers based on other assets, right? Like all of these treasuries are kind of, testing them against each other and looking at the yield curve and all of this sort of a thing to determine, this one ticked down, then this one should tick down. And there's all of these other related assets that they're like spreading against, right? And that's the primary thing that they're using to determine what price they bid and offer at. And then it's that and inventory management. All of this nonsense that you tend to hear people go on about how the market makers manipulate you and things like that. Not really. The market just kind of has a tendency to do that on its own because you don't actually have an edge. With MBO data, you can see market makers and trade. Well, I mean, how do you determine that this guy is a market maker versus not? I guess they have a big order on there, but there's multiple market makers. That's another thing, is that there's probably like 3 to 5 major market makers out there. What makes the market hard to read? Well, it has nothing to do with having to read. I mean, that kind of assumes that, like, there is some sort of piece of information embedded in the price or the order flow data that is effective at predicting the future, which isn't true. But what makes it random is when there's not really any informed trader. It is just noise traders and the market maker. And when that happens, the market maker basically makes all the money. And how are you going to gain an advantage in that situation? So did I miss anything while I was away? I mean, there is a little bit of dancing around. I guess it was because the open, that's what I missed. Do institutional traders fake accumulation to sell it and vice versa to deceive market makers in HFT to use their liquidity and stop them from running block orders? Okay, so there are some things that you can do like that, but they're very risky. So what you can do is you could buy a ton of it, right? But then actually you want to be short. So then you're going to sell it all, and then you're going to like really sell it, right? So this is what this does to price. That if that's like the number of orders that you're taking on or whatever, what tends to happen to price is, you know, you'll have there's a square root law impact, right? And then if you have an equal and opposite order, it's going to be like this, right? So if you buy and then you sell, you're going to lose this. But then you come in and you sell this, right? So because the liquidity gets damaged, the impacts of your sells tends to be higher. And so you can, by buying first and then selling, increase your impact for like the real accumulation that you want to do. Okay. So that is possible. But what is the risk? The risk is, you know, if you buy it up and then something happens and it keeps going, or at any point in this, somebody else could come along that's just as big as you are and screw it all up. So generally speaking, you don't see that pattern. In fact, I can only think of 2 or 3 times that I've seen that pattern in the treasuries clearly. So it's just not a common thing. And why not? Because it's very, very risky. You're taking on a lot of inventory to do something. And if something goes wrong and you get stuck holding that inventory, or you have to chase it or whatever the deal is, you're going to lose a ton. Way more than you would have made extra from the winner. So they tend not to like to do that. They tend not to do that. But it is one of the options available. Okay. The great analyst says the efficient market hypothesis is rejected academically due to the presence of autocorrelation in time series, meaning the past does influence the future within specific time frames. So the problem with that one is that the effects that you're talking about, like what we specifically call momentum, is not an effect that you can see intraday. So in order to trade momentum, you basically you have to be doing it across a large array of assets, and you're going to be holding positions for months, if not years, right? The tendency for assets to trend basically means that there are some situations where the downside is like $100, but the upside is like $10,000, right? You make so much more on the winners than on the losers that, you know, it more than makes up for it, right? That's how momentum works. Momentum does not work intraday. When you're looking at the price on an within a single day time, like a 1 minute and a 5 minute chart, it's a martingale, essentially. There's no information embedded in the price that is effective at predicting the future price. That doesn't mean that it's perfectly random. There's still some interesting things that we can pull out. For instance, the market tends to like these round numbers. There tends to be more liquidity at round numbers. There is time effects, like there's more volatility at the very beginning of the session and the very end of the session. There tends to be a lunch period that has less activity. There's certain periods where activity increases or decreases based on certain markets opening and closing. Right, so there's those kinds of effects. But there's volatility, that we tend to underperform volatility. But those are not. That's not like looking at the current price and trying to predict what's going to happen in the next 5 minutes. Nobody has ever shown something empirically that there's something that's strong at predicting that. Now, what can you do with all this information? If you're seeing this, right, moves up, does a little bit of a pullback, and then some big piece of news comes out that suggests that we're going to move in the opposite direction to that move that we just had, jump on that quick, because it's going to move. That's what that means. See, it's kind of curious. Yeah, there's not information embedded in the price that predicts the future direction very well, but there can be other information out there that, when combined with that, can kind of tell you that there's more on the table, more or less on the table for you. If you have the piece of information that's strongly suggests it's going to move in one direction. All right. So, how are we doing? I'm sure that you're all going to say, "Oh, I want to know more about order flow." But more people are interested in AI than in health tips for traders. So 12 votes. We'll leave it on until the end of the stream. Hopefully we get to like 20 votes. It tends to be when we tend to get good results. But will the U.S. ignore Iran of helping ships pass through Hormuz? I'm not sure what you're talking about, to be honest. Did Iran help a ship get through? Institutional traders faking accumulation to deceive other players sounds like smart money concepts. Yeah, does. Well, and what I said is you can like buy it and then sell it, but if you're buying it, like, it's gonna show up in the flow. You can't really. So you don't execute on stream when you trade? Oh, I do. Usually. Oh, by the way, we need to change this over here. Okay, now. Come on. No, I probably need to refresh. I'll just pull the camera up here real quick. Pull up the connection manager. There we go. So yeah, when I take a trade, sometimes I'll take sim trades up here in the treasuries. Sometimes I'll take live trades down in the micro treasuries. This year it's been kind of I haven't done very much. Part of it is that, you know, like, I just haven't gotten in the mode of taking lots of trades again. But like, this whole Hormuz thing has kind of had me like not wanting to take trades. And I don't like trading during the summer either. So like, May is when we wind down and then come back in September. So I don't know if I'll be taking a ton of trades anytime soon, but if I really think I know something that's going to suggest it's going to go one direction or another, then I'll do it. But oh, the Project Freedom, the U.S. Navy Escort Service. Will the U.S. ignore Iran of helping? I don't know. Apparently they have helped some ships go through, right? So I think the escort's helping. But like, the larger thing that I'm seeing is that Aragachi is battling internally with members of the IRGC. And I think that the attacks that the Iranians did yesterday were like a rogue faction. So that may be part of the market kind of rallying a little bit. Yeah, so we do it for fun, not money. Yeah. Like, the idea that you're going to come in and trade and make your living off of trading is a little crazy. I'm not advocating that. Read about the flipper in Agar Orchards. Yes, but what the flipper did is a little bit different. So the flipper, he was putting large limit orders. There'd be like a large limit order on the bid, And then all of a sudden he'd cancel it and there'd be a large limit order on the offer. And you didn't really know what was going to happen. And there was all these kinds of games. That's a little bit different from market orders hitting the market. You get what I mean? I remember there were times where you would see all sorts of strange spoofing, and I used to try and play that game, and I would, you know, like, eventually you lose that game. But I just doesn't happen very often. The UK's most revered media institution has fully embraced the Gen Z lav mic clutch. Dude, one of the things that really bothers me about the younger generation is that they will do these things like wearing mom jeans and clutching the lav mic in TikTok videos and things like that to show that they're young and hip and things like that. But all of the things that they're doing to be young and hip are doing things that are just like make things objectively worse. Like the whole point of a lav mic is that you don't have to hold it and it's less noticeable. So if you're holding it like in front of the camera, like what are you accomplishing? That's dumb. You're gonna hold something, hold a real mic. Doesn't make any sense. Mom jeans, it's the same thing. We fought really hard back in the 2000s to wear jeans that were flattering for your body type. You know, like if you had a body type that was advantageous for the high-waisted jeans, then you go for the high-waisted jeans. And if you had a body type that was good for the low rise, then you do the low rise. And then they just decided, no, we're just going to wear mom jeans that are unflattering on everybody. What? Get out of here with that BS. So not about being better, it's about breaking from what the old people... Okay, go. Be ugly. It's not helping you. Because eventually, you'll get older, and then you'll see them going through all of the same trends all over again, and you'll go, oh, I'm not actually being unique or trendy, and this wasn't raising my social status. It was just showing that I'm an idiot that doesn't know what's going on. Okay, I have associate's degree on web. What? Yeah, how do you get an associate's degree in web development? That okay. And I have a degree, bachelor's degree on AI and data. I can't find a job. I'm learning WordPress. Well, that doesn't make any sense. But where you're going to school from is not the way that things are. So where I'm from, there's a computer science degree, and that's it. And you can specialize in different things with the classes that you take, but it's still just a computer science degree. Or maybe it's a computer science degree with an emphasis in game development or AI or whatever the deal is, right? But when I was just coming out of school and looking for my first computer science jobs, there's no way that I would have taken a job doing WordPress stuff. Like, the WordPress stuff is the stuff that I did like while I was still in school. And that was when WordPress was like a new developing thing. So I learned 2 years of CS. So it's not an actual university degree, is it? I think that's kind of an important point to note if that's what's going on, right? Like, we're not going to get you into Google. No university, yeah. So you're basically in the, like, well, it's not a code camp, but maybe like a college course kind of camp of things, where especially after COVID, that there was, you know, a lot of demand for that, and so they made a lot of programs like that, and then when things tightened back up, that group of people doesn't get hired, right? So to be hired, you basically have to show people that you're not one of those people that just came in to try and cash in on the thing with a cheap education. You've got to show them that, like, you're really passionate about it, right? So having a big open source contribution of some sort, showing that you've done something very technical, that's going to be the thing that will show them that you're not just another one of these guys that has no clue how to develop anything, right? And I would do it on something serious. Oh, okay, I totally forgot about the PMIs. So, Jolt's 6.866, higher than the forecast 6.85, but not a huge outlier, so it's nice for that to be like normal. And services slightly lower than expected, 53.6 versus 53.7. Prices paid less than expected, 70.7 versus 73.5. So I'm going to read that overall as positive. We did get an uptick there. The problem I have here is it going to go measurably above that 13 to the 17? That seems a little out. So I don't think that I have a trade. Plus, look at the micros down here. What's with that? I lose the passion because of generative AI. Well, I mean, if you can build something impressive with AI and it not be slop. If the idea of making a living from trading is crazy and you don't advocate that, what are we doing here? We are doing a hobby so that other people don't have to. And there's some value being on the front lines and seeing everything play out play by play. And other people can basically get the benefits of being on that front line without actually having to put their own capital at risk. It's a big advantage. Selling trading courses seems to be pretty profitable. You know what? I actually kind of wonder how effective it actually is. Like, I think that if I was selling a trading course, I don't think I would make that much from it. I think that, like, when you're an influencer, like when you're a big influencer and you end up with like hundreds of thousands of subscribers, and then you sell the course and it's a decent amount of money, but even then you kind of have to question, maybe doing that though undermines your brand and you actually make less than you would have if you just stuck to what you were doing. And yeah, I do kind of feel like you have to sell them on easy success, which is not how it works. Some people charge $200 on them, so if you have the reach and you can make the volume, it doesn't look bad. Yeah, but I think that, like, so when I say I don't think it's that effective, what I mean by that is I think that the conversion rate on those is really, really low. Like, I think that these guys maybe make, like, if their audience is 100,000, that they maybe get less than 1% of them to actually buy the course. But then that's like 500 people times $200, you know. That's a couple $100,000. Whereas for me, I look at it and it's like, well, if the conversion rate is below 1%, I don't know if it's even worth doing. But I do think someday I probably will write a book. It might be like when I'm retired, but I would like to make a book. The only way to make life is to make a life-changing trade. Well, yeah, but so one of my favorite materials out there is the No BS day trading course, and at the very end of the book, he talks about his mentor, and one time his mentor he hit it big with options and made like millions and millions, and then he kept trading and lost it all. So I suppose if you like catch that one big trade that really makes everything for you and then you stop, but that person never does stop. So yeah. Another thing, though, on the guru thing is that, like, you can make a ton of money from just YouTube advertising. So, right, you're gonna like have the YouTube advertising, and then you have affiliate links, which you know, I think if it's a good service and you're using it and it's good for your customers, it's okay to do affiliate links. That's perfectly fine. So between advertising and affiliate links, you can get really wealthy off of just that if you hit it big on YouTube. And you know, that's why some of these creators that like sell courses, it kind of becomes like a little bit perplexing why they did it. Like the one that kind of makes me go like, So like there's one is Tory Trades. With that one, I think she was always doing it to sell the course, that like her uncle basically got her in on that. Well, you sell the course and you make tons of money, and that's what she was always doing. But the one that what was her name? Humble Trader or something like that, an Asian girl. And that was one where like she was doing pretty well overall and was like fairly well liked because, you know, she was making content, but she wasn't like saying anything too strong or any of that. And then she squandered it all by making a course. And then when she made a course, it was kind of like, oh, actually, you don't know anything. She would have done better if she just never, I don't know. Maybe there is a cycle to it in the YouTube that, you know, that's another thing. I think that if our channel became really successful, keep hitting that like button, folks. It'll happen eventually, right? I think that if we hit it big, I'm not going to be like, okay, now we've made $1 million. I'm going to take all of that money and start trading it and try to hit it even bigger and yada, you know, to keep it going forever. I think that I would pocket it because the shelf life of a YouTuber is not forever. Tori Trades, Chloe Trades, Tanya. I've only heard of Tori, and I think it was from you guys originally. But then I saw some people on TikTok and stuff like that talking about her. The thing that bothers me about Tori Trades was I saw this one clip where she was like, oh, you guys say that, oh, we having a move here, by the way. I think that's, well, actually, I think I'm going to get in on that one. Al Jazeera saying, we're confident of achieving significant progress in negotiations. Okay. Well, I'm going to let it, okay. Tanya's on. You know what? Ever since they changed the Ninja, like who's on the Ninja Trader live, I have no clue what's going on over there anymore. But I was always kind of like, yeah, half of the people that they bring on here are full of shit. Live trading ICT concepts. Boy. Here's this other one. Chloe Trades. She does options. How I make $200? Yeah. Like one of the yeah. There's no introduction for it or anything, but it's just you know how it is, right? The people that always seem to like float up to the top are the ones that have numbers in their titles and thumbnails, right? Oh, how I make $2,000 a day with one simple strategy, and then you're gonna do it too, right? I have a hard time having any respect for creators that do that. So all of your success comes from baiting people. Well, I kind of still like the upside. I think we could get some trapped traders, but it's not going so well so far, is it? But when you're chasing, that's what tends to happen, right? So we're gonna have to sweat it out. We'll see if we can get a profit on it within the hour that we have. If I really, really had a lot of confidence in it, then I would have taken on the live account, right? That's really sad if they're the people on the Ninja show are hawking ICT stuff, but it is what it is. So I kind of wonder sometimes, like I like making YouTube content, and I want to provide value to people, you know, and I think that what we do is valuable. I think that like there needs to be people that understand what's going on, and like just leaving the trading all to the robots is liable to cause problems. But it doesn't seem to me to be a place where I can really actually have that impact that I want, you know? Like, you're just always going to be drowned out by the hucksters and the charlatans and stuff. And then you get put in the same bucket as them. Except for that, I don't know what alternative I would do, so... Vital says I counter trades. Oh, you counter trade Seth. You take the short right now, you're up 3 ticks. I took one of the contracts right. Oh man, come on. No, don't like that. What is this? So there must be another headline coming through. This again is why I've been like haven't taken live trades lately. It's because of this kind of shit right here. It's still fun. It's still fun. We're in one. We're involved. Should I puke right here? It looks like maybe the worst of it is over. I'm still not hearing anything over my new squawk. Unless I come over to like X and they're like, oh, new attacks on blah, 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 blah. Powerful real-time tool for people who live on X. Multiple monitors. Multiple timelines on... Okay, they're responding to a missile threat. I mean, that's what I thought it was going to be. So why didn't I just dump it? Well, I think that we got a flat right here, right? Flat. Okay. Do you guys think that we got suckered there? Like that they intentionally put out that headline that was like really positive just before, oh, hey, actually there's missiles flying right now. Or the attack is fake. It probably is the correct answer, huh? It probably is fake. But if it's fake, that doesn't necessarily mean we want to be long. Yep, UAE. Dealing with missile threats. Nick Timrose, U.S. job openings have been stable and the 3-month average stood at 7 million in March. There were 0.94 job vacancies for every worked count as unemployed in March, in line with the recent trend. Well, it might be able to pull one tickers out of there, but there's be a lot of risk for one tickers, right? Yeah, look at those bids just evaporate. They don't want to hold anything. You're long now? Hmm. I want to get back in. I'm kind of fighting the desire to get back in because I feel like I don't want to get in because I think that I have a good chance now. Like that I really have something that knows which way it's going to go. I think that I'm trying to revenge trade in my mind. No, I didn't use it. I just clicked flat. So it was a loss, but for this account when I'm taking multiple contracts, it wasn't so bad. So I think we're okay, but if I took like 3 losses like that, though, then I'd be in trouble. And I'm saying to myself, okay, there's missiles flying, but then Pakistan is still hopeful. I think that the missiles flying, that's like something that's actually physically happening. I think that takes precedence. But what's the downside on that one? Like, how much downside would we see? Back to the open, maybe at 07? I'm having a hard time making a trade make sense from that framework, so. But I guess I am flipped now. I mean, that's the thing is I still want to take along. Yeah, I think that I just want to see the treasuries up.
Block sell.
Ooh. Ooh.
Block buy.
Okay. Okay, I won't touch it. I just... What? Oh, I thought that we had an okay thing there. So in that situation, that wasn't that there wasn't some edge behind that trade per se, as much as it was a conflicting news headline came through that we didn't expect, right? So that's always a risk that you're taking when you're doing what we're doing. I mean, we could have gone short on it, and you would have made a little bit now at that point. But you can see we're into this kind of fighty area, so there must have been another headline there too, because that there was really a lot of volume popped out there, didn't they? I don't know. Sometimes. So like the thing is we're trying to trade something informational, right? So if you're trying to trade something informational and you lose money, what happened? Well, one would be that you were just wrong. That the thing that you thought was going to happen didn't happen, or like your overall analysis of all of the information, the piece of information mattered more than you thought it did. Your analysis was just wrong, right? Versus there was another piece of information out there that you weren't aware of or that wasn't available yet, and that ruined the trade. It's a different thing, right? The second one is going to happen a certain percentage of the time. There's just nothing you can do about it. The first one, well, that's going to happen too, but that's one that you have a little bit more control over, right? You have to have good analysis. You have to be making sure that you're collecting all of the information before you do something. Prefer to be wrong on the direction than being a liquidity not executing in the right time. Okay. Well. There's definitely a hole there at 10, huh? So I'm keeping a close eye on it here because they did move away from that 10. And that level 2 is dancing so much. Man. So another thing, because I've been saying like, it's all of a sudden it seems like activity on the channel has increased for some reason. I also have gotten a deluge of like people wanting to do like promote services and stuff, which is another one of those things that just drives me crazy because it's almost always crap. A proprietary trading company. Well, Donald Trump is signing a proclamation reinstating presidential fitness test awards. Okay. So if I think that we're kind of getting that hole, and then we kind of flip out of it, that is usually more signs of market maker shenanigans, right? Like that is they're letting it kind of move around a lot. It's not taking a whole lot of contracts, so they're letting it move around because that kind of movement helps them recover the losses, essentially. So that's not action that I really like. You know, I'm still kind of like, well, but it's coming up, and maybe we'll get the story come over the wire here in a minute. That's like, there was this oil pipeline hit in the UAE. That's really bad, right? Which treasury tracker do you trade most? The ZN. Oh, absolutely ZN. Because that's where all the volume and liquidity is. Vinyl asks, another squeeze coming? I kind of thought when I got into that thing, you know, my thinking was, okay, they had a move, but once you kind of get in that mode, the headlines are good, they'll continue job owning and pushing it up, and they probably will get to the regular session plus 1 sigma. So that's what I was thinking. In fact, if that headline hadn't come through, maybe we would be up there right now. And we were kind of like short on the session. So that could be trapped traders that would maybe help push us up there. Now, though, that we've kind of had this counter move, it kind of washes it all out. And I think that at least the balance of power from existing positions is roughly equal. Order flow is showing selling in the currencies. That's interesting. Well, I'm kind of getting this clicking around 11.5. So, like, again, I was starting to get some signs of a hole at 10, and then they moved up. Now they've kind of consolidated at 11.5. Maybe there's a hole at 11.5. Overall, that kind of looks to me like we are in a hole of some sort, but that something happened that kind of shifted where the hole was, which I don't know. I don't know why they kind of moved like that. I was kind of curious. It's not like I saw, well, I mean, there was the dollar It maybe was because of the dollar coming back down. What tickers are next to oil? Okay, so you got oil is this first one. The next one is the micro 10-year, and the last one is the 2-year. There's this guy in the crude chat on the Discord. He's saying, market maker can't liquidate me on one lot. I'm kind of wondering about ES because ES, there was a pretty big sell event over there and they're higher. So what are your charts? Ninja Trader charts? The one in the upper left is the 10-year treasury. I used to have ES up there because it was like, people will see that and want to stay longer because they see ES. But I changed it because I found those volatility levels and everything so useful, and I wanted to have that close to me to see. So again, like a slight hole, but it didn't last very long. So they're still going to trade this whole area. I think in this situation, you can do pretty well scalping between 10 and 11.5. It's just like it's super risky right now, right? If you scout the auction vistas better than can, well, I mean, but why wouldn't I just use the thumb? It's getting time for me to shave again because I just want to stroke my beard the whole time. This is why I don't think I can ever have like a full-on beard because it'd just be too distracting to me. I'd just be this all day long. The music is like dollar store Trent Reznor. I think that's exactly what it's intended to be. Yeah, I think that what this guy did when he was making the music was it was like, oh, here was a song that I liked. I'm going to make like an exact copy of it, but with a different actual tune, but like the same instruments and stuff like that on a bunch of different kind of songs, showing a different kind of style of things. So, yeah. I like them though. They're hype. It's hype music. Artist name, stream beats. Yeah. Who's going to get the first award for the presidential fitness test? Yeah. There's a reason they got rid of that program. It wasn't actually a good program. I just... That's okay. You have the nostalgia. Bring it back. Whatever. It's not a big deal. Can you build a trading career as a scalper? Maybe. So, like, here's the thing, guys. Let me tell you what. The real money is definitely not in scalping. I mean, there was a time when scalping made a lot of sense. Like, because, well, let me back up. The real money is in position trading, right? You come in, you buy a bunch of stock in a company that you know a lot about, and then it like 50x's or something like that. And that's where the real money is. That's where the people that make money in this market, that's where they come from. And, you know, you can start doing things because you're a prominent investor and stuff. You get on the boards of companies and there's perks from that. And right, like that's where the real money is. Okay. So scalping was kind of like two things. One was, well, I don't have that much money, so I'm going to build it from ground one, and then hopefully that gives me enough to invest in stocks, and you can build up and you can do that stuff, right? Or the other one was, well, that's never going to work for me and I can't take on that risk, but I can come in and just do my little scalp and make a consistent amount every month and do what I love doing in trading. Okay. And when you were a floor trader, that's what they did. And that did work. And there was people that made a living from doing that. But when the robots came in, I think that path kind of became unviable. Wasn't a viable path anymore. So now if you're doing it, I think that it really has to be either one, like you just enjoy it and it's your hobby and you're totally okay with that you never make meaningful amounts of money from it. Or two, that you're learning and eventually you are going to use what you're learning about the market to help your other trading activities. Because really, like these people on YouTube that are like, oh, I make $1,000 a day, but they're full of shit. They're full of shit. Pretty much every single one of them. They're either lying to you or they're naive. And the naive ones, you see it because they'll be doing well this year and then next year they've blown it all. I love how you keep it real on your channel. Well, I think that I know what I'm gonna say is kind of a weird thing for somebody to say about themselves, but I don't think I have ego in the same ways and places that other people do. To me, like most people, they'll come in and they're like, I want to be something. I want to, I've screwed up, but I'm going to show them all I can be the big guy and do this and that. And that's what attracts a lot of people to trading, because if you're somebody that, you're like 25 and you haven't, you don't really see a whole lot of opportunities in front of you, day trading is like the one spot where there's no apparent barrier to entry. There actually is. Like you have to really pay your dues to really have any chance at being successful of this, and so it's deceptive. But from the outside, it looks like, oh, well, all I need is like $500 and then I can get started, and that's what kind of attracts people to it. So a lot of people get involved in day trading because of ego. And that was not why I started. I started like, oh, what really truly interests me is not just computers, but finance and business and trading in particular. And I want to learn as much about that stuff as possible. And so I've always just read that stuff, right? So I am primarily doing it because it interests me. That doesn't mean that I don't have ego. It's just going to be expressed in a different place, right? Because I understand that the market is not informationally efficient. So me being successful in day trading doesn't necessarily prove that I'm like this worthwhile person in society and I have a place in yada 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 yada. Nah, like I already fought that in university and getting a job, and have the job. I've got, you know, my thing, I got my family, and that's the thing that concerns me more, right? Like the thing that like will kill my ego would be like if Ethan grows up to be a complete loser, right? Then you know, some of the kids right now, they're in high school and I'm kind of like, why are you not getting to school? But then I see other things that like I have hope. But like if they get to 30 and they're still living in the basement, then it can be like I'm a failure and that I'm going to have a really hard time, because that to me is like the true measure is like how well the next generation, like my kids, and not just my kids, but like you guys, you how well, if you all just go out and were constantly telling me, oh, I blew $10,000, I blew $100,000 on trading, and yeah, like that really gets to me. That says to me that like I did a poor job. Like I didn't make you effective traders, and I didn't help you understand the risks. You did dumb things, right? I take it a little personally, you know. It's just because I have a different perspective about like what is valuable. To me, having success in day trading doesn't necessarily speak well of you. It probably means that you're a degenerate gambler. So I don't, you know. I think that this is the problem that always comes when you get in an argument with another trader, is that they say, well, you should be respecting me because I've made a ton of money from it. And I'm immediately like, well, that makes me respect you even less. Means you made money because you were a degenerate gambler and you don't even understand why you made money. That speaks less of you, not more. And Stefa says, yeah, man, I wish I had never started trading, to be honest. I don't know. I struggle with this, Aunt Stefa. I really do. It's a thought that crosses my mind at least once a week, which is like the only reason that I've been able to do as well as I have, the only reason that I've been able to trade as long as I have, to learn as much as I have, and I do think that we've gotten really good at it. But the only reason I've gotten as good at it is you guys. It's 100% you. All of the discoveries that we've made and learned would not have happened without the community that we have, right? So if I had not started the stream, I think that I might have just given up on it. I think that I would have just given up on it. And so in some respects, that thought is kind of like, well, it would be kind of nice to not wake up early and to worry about the other things relating to trading that kind of make this a difficult thing to do, and a reason why most people are just not well suited for it, right? But then the thought is always like, there's two things, which is one, yeah, but I love my community and I couldn't ask for anything better. Like, yeah, could I go and could I have made a YouTube channel about like almost anything else? And maybe I would have had success in that other thing, but I don't think I would have a better community. So would I actually be better off? I really don't feel. And then it's like, well, you could always just, you know, you've done your thing, you've had your success, you can just rest on your laurels and go and do something else and take a break for a while, you know? But what would I do? What would I do? I can't. You would basically leave this gigantic hole in my life, and there's absolutely nothing that I could ever possibly put in it that would be as great as this, except for maybe owning a business, a larger business. That would be a different thing, right? But then for me to create a successful business, stopping doing this does not help me create a successful business, does it? right? So we move on. We accept the good and the bad of it, and we continue forward. How much money do you recommend for a new developing trader? So I would say that it probably takes about $2,000 to get started, because you're probably going to have to pay for a platform, and you'll have to pay for your starting account and all that sort of stuff. So I think realistically, especially to do what we're doing, you probably need at least $2,000. But you know, there's these funded trader programs, and now you can do it for like $100, and like as long as you can afford to pay that every month, then go for it. But this is a hobby for me, but I am looking for a statistical edge with trading algos that I build myself. So if I ever make money, I think it will be legit. Yeah. It was just, I mean, I think you're totally right, Rox. I think that I have more respect. Like, I don't want to use the word respect. I think it's more impressive if you've made a ton of money from algo trading on your own than if you've made a ton of money discretionary trading on your own. I think that the algo trading is way harder, especially if you're doing it solo. I mean, if you're doing it with a company, then like, yeah, it's a good job. I wish that that's the job that I wish I had done. If I could go back through school and you know, knowing what I know now about myself and what I would have enjoyed most, I would have spent all that time doing statistics and doing statistical problems like that and getting into Jane Street. And like one of the things that frustrates me is I think that shit is so cool. Like, you know, Jane Street, they're always posting those puzzles and stuff for people to do. Oh, I love that. I think that's so cool. I wish that I had the time and energy to focus on those, and that my focus had been there instead, you know? And then I'd be working at Jane Street or somebody like that and doing quant stuff. That would be cool. Or, you know, frankly, I would love to just be doing like what I do now, dev and cloud ops, but for a trading company. But I don't think that that's ever going to happen, because then I wouldn't be able to do this. So can't have it all, I guess. A bunch of people recommend prop challenges, but I have my doubts. Well, yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. The chances of you passing the prop firm and all of that sort of stuff aren't very good. Most people will fail. It's funny because if you just trade randomly, you're probably more likely to pass. Like, you can pass 1/4 to 1/3 of the time, depending on their rules. But then it's not going to lead to lasting success. You'll pass the combine, and then maybe you'll get a payout or two, and then you'll blow it, and then you go back through, and now you're on a treadmill, and you're just doing that over and over again. Doesn't really lead to long-term success. Whereas like what we do, granted, I'm not trading enough, so I'm kind of losing by not trading, but when we are trading, I tread water. Like, I make enough money from it to pay for the data fees and things. Like, I can continue trading forever, and that is the thing that I like, the first thing that I want. That's a big win. Big win. And then you are kind of, you know, there for, maybe you do get lucky one time. So there's that possibility. And then there's all of the information that I get that informs my other investments, and my other investments are doing great. Sierra Chart has Trade Evaluator with their servers mocking a broker, $61 per month to trade with. Wait, really? CR Charts has basically become a prop firm now? I think that's another thing. Like I want to be 100% straightforward with you guys. I can see where this market is going, and it is overwhelmingly in favor of the funded trader programs. Like, basically, the people that are making the money are the funded trader programs. And as a creator, I would probably do way better if I just spent all of my time talking about funded trader programs. But I will not promote that. I do not want to make money from affiliates or any of that, because I really don't think that it's the good thing for people long term. You're putting them into something that there's never really a long-term success from it, you know? Yeah. So that's one of the things driving me more and more towards making my own platform. Is like, well, if you know, I want to make money from doing what I love, probably the best opportunity for me is through the trading platform. They mock it, but they don't pay you anything. Still, that's kind of interesting. So, you know, on top of that, there's this other thing, which is like, I think the other thing that drives the trading platform is my own quant efforts, because my own quant efforts always kind of ran into this wall, which was like, well, we need machine learning, but our platform doesn't enable that very well. So we need to go a bit further. With our own platform, we should be able to do that stuff. It's going to be really cool. I'm really excited for where we might be a year from now on the trading platform. So I'm getting close. I got last night, cleaned things up a little bit so that I can make a pull request for the watermark. So I got the watermark. I think the next thing is the axes. And once I've done that, I think I have like all of the major parts for like the drawing of it. That, of course, we're going to refine it over time and the look of it and everything. But those are like the most important things to start with. And then I got to get like make it so that you can change the instruments. It's a little bit more involved of a project because you have to have something that actually shows you the instruments available and stuff like that, right? And then I got to do the zoom. And then we've like got a working chart, right? That at that point, I can focus for a while on, you know, a couple of indicators, getting those to work really well in there. And then that's the platform. Then that's like, I can start making it available to you guys. Maybe I need to make it so that you can actually submit orders before I make it available to other people. I'm not sure. Will your platform be order flow level 2 DOM centered? Yes. But really what I would put it more as, it is centered on quantitative analysis of order flow. Basically, the main driving, like the reason I started it is that I want to do machine learning analysis of order flow data. Do these funded trader programs really prepare developing traders for long-term success with the rules in drawdown? And no, they don't. They don't. In fact, the rules that they put there are actively harmful to you. The only rule that they have that I would stick with is having a daily loss limit. Certain amount that you don't lose more than that. And your daily loss limit should probably be way closer than theirs. But yeah, because the whole thing is it really forces you to hit those profit targets. You have to over leverage. So yeah, hasn't it been previously studied this way? Question mark. Well, so there's been study on order flow stuff. There's like empirical studies out there. But what they're doing is they're like taking historical data and doing certain things, and there's like big limitations on it. at a big firm, they are storing all that data and allowing you to build a full model with the live data. So basically, I'm going to give you access to a tool that is basically like a professional level tool in a way that the current existing order flow platforms aren't. I think it could be a big shift. I really do. I remember when there was only Top Step Trader and you actually have to scalp to get funded. Most of the scalp, yeah. Well, and I tell you what, man, if you want to trade, it should really bother you how many people want to start prop firms. Oh, you're right. My mom's poking me that it's 9 o'clock, so it's time to stop the stream. It's fine. I have to stop exactly at 9, but we're good. The worst rule would be a time limit to hit, but yeah. But yeah, it's basically all these people are seeing like, oh man, it's like basically free money. All these people trying to pass these combines. There's too many people trying to get into that space. It's a problem. Not a problem like the prop firm thing. Eventually, it's gonna go kaput or something like that. Nah, I don't think that'll happen. Maybe eventually the government will come in and do something, but I think it's gonna be around for a while. But it should just be a warning to you that like what most people are trying to do isn't gonna work. It's just not workable. I just finished your interview with Gary Norton. It's been a while. I like if you make a part 2. But what would I ask him though? I mean, I loved talking to Gary so much. It's been such a long time. So much has happened. It isn't. Gary and Jigsaw Trading used to have a strong relationship, and that bridge kind of burned. But I think Gary'd still be nice to talk to. But I just don't know what I would ask him. I kind of feel like there was some things I kind of wanted to figure out, like what he was doing. And I feel like we got a really good, understanding of it. And I just don't know what I would ask him. I need to ask, well, there's a couple. What I really want to do is I want to interview Doyne Farmer and Jean-Philippe Bouchot. But, I kind of had a little bit of back and forth with Jean-Philippe and then just didn't turn out, or I just didn't hear from him again. And I don't know if he just doesn't see it or if he's ignoring me. Maybe I'll try again. It's like, hey, it's me again. Can we do something in June? What would we do? And with Doyne, the one that frustrates me with Doyne is that he's been on a bunch of podcasts. So like he's on the podcast circuit, but I can't seem to get through to Doyne to try and get him on our stream. So, I want to interview Doyne Farmer so badly, guys. If you see him, let him know. What will the removal? Well, so I don't know if it will have an effect on prop firms, to be honest with you, because the people that are trading prop firms are still going to have a big issue with the wash trading rule. Because in order to get around the wash trading rule, you have to declare on your taxes the year before, and all of your trading activity is taxed at your regular rate. That means that if you have like other stocks, you have like swing stocks or buy and hold stocks or things like that, you have to pay more tax on those. So yeah, I think the wash trading rule is still a big barrier, but I bet you there will be more stock trading than there was. But I really don't think that it's going to quell the demand for prop firms. We'll see. There's some advantages to trading futures. Sounds cool. Will it work like a charting software? Or are you planning to integrate existing and or potentially your own brokerage? I think that at some point I would like to integrate a brokerage. I think that I don't want to go down the path that NinjaTrader has, which is like we make the brokerage and then we force everybody onto our brokerage by making the software only work with our brokerage. I want my platform to be so ubiquitous that it's just used everywhere. That all of the people that are doing quant stuff are going to say, well, why the hell am I doing this all on Python? I should, or, like raw Python on my own. I should be doing it in Seth's platform because it provides so much stuff. So I want it to be everywhere. But I do actually want to have my own brokerage. Not just my own brokerage, but my own futures trading firm. And or FCM, futures clearing merchant. And do stuff with like basis trading and kind of more of the raw commodity stuff. Like, we own some of the commodity and we're selling the futures to deliver it and all of that. Because Utah is building a inland port, essentially. It's still like a project going, but so I'm sitting here going like, oh, maybe there could be some opportunities for us in futures with the inland port. So I kind of want to have it, go as far as we can go with it. I mean, a trading platform can turn into a big business. So, and that's what I want. I want to run more of my own business. What are your thoughts on Gary Norton trading method and course? Some say it's outdated with algos. I wouldn't say that it's outdated. Like, the information is always relevant, right? And there's always going to be a place that you can utilize those kinds of strategies to make some money. And it is, in effect, what the algorithms are doing. But that does make it extremely difficult. So if you're going and you're doing that, you have to understand that you're paying like the most that you can possibly pay for a course so that you can learn the most difficult thing to trade in like the most difficult way. Not going to be worth it for most people. But if you have the money and you really want to understand how the market making strategies work, I think that Gary has some very, very valuable insights. Well, the treasury's kind of died down here. I was wondering if they were going to make another move after this, but I guess not. I think that it just kind of like fizzled out. Well, guys, I'm 10 minutes over, so I'm going to get going, but we'll be back tomorrow. So see you then. In the meantime, stay excellent.